Call to order the regular council meeting, June 11, 2018. Ms. Miller, please call the roll.
Colella. Consolmagno. Dixon.
Here.
Gibbons.
I went to get a water.
She's here. Gibbons. Hannon.
Present.
Harrison.
Present.
McLean.
Here.
Bowery.
Here.
O'Brien. 6.
We have 6 members present. This time, can we stand for the Pledge of Allegiance?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, I have one chair announcement. Executive session of council was conducted on Monday, May 21st, 2018, for personnel items and legal issues. At this time, I would like to turn to the reports, the officials, and Chief O'Connor.
Are you going to speak from your chair, Mayor? Okay, then I'll sit down here.
Mr. Mayor, Council, hi everybody, Chief here. We have the 4th of July coming up, and there is a new fireworks law which will be in effect for this year. Consumer-grade fireworks are now legal to Pennsylvania residents, but they must be 18 years of age or older. This will include firecrackers, bottle rockets, and Roman candles. So they're now legal. But there are some restrictions on that, and we're going to post it on our Facebook page so people can familiarize themselves with them. But having said that, even though they're legal, doesn't give you the right to shoot them off at 3:30 in the morning and have babies crying, dogs barking, and waking old people like me up. That will require you to be cited or have a trip to the county jail where you'll spend the holiday eating pork sandwiches next to people who rob banks and other things getting arraigned. So you don't want to do that. So follow the law, look up the restrictions, and have a good, safe holiday. Our crime watch will not meet over the summer. Our next meeting will be the first Monday in October. So until then, you can follow us on Facebook, social media, Crime Watch email list. If you're not on, contact us and we'll put you on. But everybody have a safe summer. Take care. Any questions?
Any questions? Nope. Thank you very much, Chief. Can we turn to the mayor's report and Mayor Allen?
Good evening. I have a couple things to mention, and then June, which you'll be sorry that you came tonight, because June is the municipality, the state of the municipality report. So about an hour and 10 minutes. So, okay. First thing I wanted to mention was the farmers market every Tuesday down in South Park, and that'll go till, I believe, September. This Saturday, the 16th, BPTV has an open house downstairs from 11 to 2. It's a new remodeled studio. When Judge Arnone moved out, BPTV took over. So if you can make it, it's this Saturday from 11 to 2. Bethel Park, or we have a recycling collection. That's also this Saturday, June 16th. It's Bethel Park High School, and that's from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. There's no cost for some items like cell phones, computer towers, stereo equipment, but there is a fee charged for alkaline batteries, fluorescent tubes, printers, of course, computer monitors, television, and if you have a projection or console TV, there's a charge for that also. And I thought this chief was going to talk about this when he mentioned the 4th of July. But this year we have our 4th of July Spectacular, which is Saturday, June 30th. It's a Millennium Park from 4 to 9. Fireworks are at 9:40. There will be transportation. If you need to park in a lot, get a bus over. There's a lot of activities. There's entertainment. The parking shuttle information you can get on our website. But that'll be our first one. Just bring no coolers, no alcohol, but you certainly bring blankets and a chair to watch the fireworks. So with that, I'm going to go back to my seat.
Should we give him 3 minutes for the state of the municipality? Since he's down there by himself?
I know. Mr. President, it's my honor and my privilege to provide the annual State of the Municipality as required by our Home Rule Charter. As in past years, I would like to begin by recognizing and commending the council, municipal staff, police department, the volunteer fire department, and EMS for all their hard work and dedication to the community. In addition, I must also mention how appreciative Bethel Park is for all those men and women who serve on our various boards, commissions, authorities, and for the hundreds of folks who volunteer their time for the dozen of activities and functions that go on daily here in the municipality. For the most part, their pay is our gratitude and good feeling they get for serving others. I'm pleased to report again this year the auditing firm of Mar Dusel has completed the 2017 municipal audit and reported that we noted no matters involving internal control in its operation that we consider to be reportable conditions under the established standards by the American Institute of the Certified Public Accountants. The financial department, like all other departments continually seek ways to be more efficient and readily accept the advice and recommendations of the auditor on matters that are beneficial to the people of Bethel Park. So thank you, Joe, and your staff for that. Our financial situation is sound. The municipal millage is 2.53, including the fire department at 0.34, and that's among the very lowest in Allegheny County. Our three bordering neighbors, South Park Township is at 3.06, Mount Lebanon is at 4.71, and Upper St. Clair is at 3.83 mils. Last year in this report, I mentioned some significant developments and redevelopments within the community, and I'm pleased to report that this is a continuing activity. Since last June, we've seen the following. New residential development, the South Hills Village Apartments, had their grand opening, ribbon cutting last Friday. That's up by South Hills Village. There's 305 units in there, and 150 units are already occupied. Cool Spring Assisted Living is located on Cool Spring campus. The development, was approved for 120 assisted living units, and the project is anticipated to be completed before the end of summer. Cool Springs Carriage Homes, there's a development of 23 townhomes up there. 4 out of the 23 units have been issued final occupancy permits, and 5 units are currently under construction. Artist Senior Living on Higbee Drive has 72 assisted living, and they just opened within the past 30 days. Bethel Park Senior Housing is located on the former YMCA property at the intersection of McMurray Road and Limestone. There's actually one building that's up under roof, and that was approved for 135 senior housing apartment units. Willow Terrace Plan of Lots is the only single home development that we have right now. There's 25 single family lots in there, and I believe there's still a few left, although there's quite a few people that live back there. New land development, Guardian Self-Storage number 1. That's located on Milford Drive. That was approved for a 3-story self-storage facility at the existing Verizon building. The existing building has been demolished, and the project is currently under construction. Guardian Self-Storage number 2 with the office, that's the one that's located on the corner of Milford and 88. That was approved for a 2-story self-storage facility, almost 13,000 square feet. The existing building has been demolished, and that particular one is under construction. Cool Springs Retail, there's a lot of Cool Springs here. Sports Clips is up and running. Fergasso Financial Advisors and Steel Cactus is being built even as we speak. Millennium Shops continued actually is, I think, pretty much filled now. That's the one behind Sheets. O'Reilly Auto Parts is at the old Warehouse Cafe. The building has been demolished and the project is currently under construction. The Rite Aid, located on McMurray Road in Clifton behind Al's, that project is under construction and expected to be completed later this summer. The Parkside Center development, that's where Papa John's is down there. That'll be torn, or the Elks Lodge and the two-story building will be torn down, and there'll be a 5,000 square foot retail building and a 9 or 10,000 square foot professional arts building. Bethel Park Shopping Center, that's the one that we've been talking about, where Walmart and Giant Eagle. Phase 1 is still waiting to be launched. As of right now, the Firestone building, it looks like they may keep part of that footprint, and that will become a restaurant / microbrew. The other two developments up there, Phase 2 and Phase 3, they're put on hold or temporarily. And lastly, the Bethel Park Animal Clinic, that's where old Bruce Tire used to be. That will be a 7,000 square foot animal clinic building right on Route 88. Pittsburgh accounts for 25% of Allegheny County's population. In the last year, the city lost 2,610 people. Allegheny County's growth sectors in recent decades have been primarily in the northern boroughs and the townships near the Butler County line and western communities along the airport corridor. Bethel Park has generally not been among them. But the Census Bureau reported that we gained 555 residents in 2016-17. That's the largest growth in the county. And I believe that we'll continue to grow as a community. I believe that we as a council and staff must continue to have vision that Bethel Park will always be a work in progress, and it's our responsibility to walk that delicate line between development and protecting our residents and our neighborhoods. So, Mr. President, it's my observation and my opinion that the state of the municipality is strong in all areas. I think that it continues to go forward, and we're positioned to adequately meet our immediate and future challenge. Bethel Park continues to be blessed in so many ways. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Mayor. Any comments, questions? Hearing none, I'd like to turn to the municipal manager's report and Ms. Miller to show you one of our new toys.
How about that population? Population. Yeah. Really impressive. That's great.
Good evening, council, mayor, and guests. So tonight, what we wanted to do is to show, by having the monitor in front of everybody, we're on the Bethel Park website, and we have added to the new website 2 applications that the citizens can use to report problems. You could do so by putting your name out there and saying, my name's Judy Miller and I have a problem with whatever, speeding down my street. My neighbor has high grass. High grass complaints, sometimes residents would prefer to do them anonymously, and that can be done. So what we want to do, first we'll show you the Citizens Action Line. And this is the home page of the website, and that is on the left side of the website. You just click on that link, and it brings up this page. And then if Nicole can scroll down, you'll see there's a big list, pretty big list of what we feel have been kind of routine complaints that have come in, or just, I hate to call everything a complaint, but it's things that citizens merely just want to bring to our attention. So for demonstration purposes tonight, we're going to use the garbage recycling not picked up. Last week was a short week for recycling and garbage collection, and unfortunately Republic experienced a tremendous amount of problems. They were short-staffed, they had some trucks break down, and what happens is everybody was calling the office to report that their garbage hadn't been picked up. And we have two ladies in that department that take the calls. in addition to a receptionist, and unfortunately, they could not keep up with the call volume. If everybody could use this instead of calling, it would make their lives a lot easier. So all you need to do, again, is go to the website, open up the Citizen Action Line. You do not have to put your email, you do not have to put your daytime telephone. The one thing we absolutely need, of course, is your address. So you would type in your address, and then you could indicate if it was just recycling, just garbage, or both. And then we do ask you to let us know what day of the week your normal garbage collection pickup would be, because if you're reporting it on a Thursday and your regular pickup is Monday, that's a big problem for us. And we like to monitor the performance of our refuse hauler, and that's a good way for us to do that. So those are important information that we would like you to put in. So then you would just go down and you can submit it. Okay, so what will happen is you'll submit it, and because hopefully you'll have an email address, but even if you don't, Nicole, I think if you scroll up to the top, right, there should be you will get a confirmation number, and it's actually a tracking number. And even if you don't want to put your email address in, so for instance, you're complaining because your neighbor doesn't cut their grass or they won't cut their hedges, or there's just general problems that you would prefer not to be known, you can take that tracking number and you can go back to the website to the top of the page. If you would come back into the Citizen Action Line, you can enter that tracking number and you can see what's happening with that. You can see where staff is dealing with that problem that you reported. There it is right there. Yeah, and you would just copy that and keep it. The good thing about at least putting an email address in is that you will have a record of that you entered that. And your email address can be anonymous. A lot of times email addresses don't reveal who the person is.
If you check on the status, that's
Yes. Yeah, and then if you go back, you can just, like I said, enter that tracking number and check the status of the complaint. And what happens is, once that gets submitted, it comes to the staff member responsible. The staff member will type up a response, and when you check the status, you can see, I received your complaint, it's been reported to Republic Waste Services, collection is expected no later than, Wednesday or Tuesday. So that's one example. I know the police department, they get a lot of, citizens reporting speeding, people blowing through a stop sign in their neighborhood. And again, you can put your email address in there, you could put your name. Quite frankly, the lion's share of the information that comes in through the Citizens Action Line, people do give us their name, their phone number, their email address, because they want follow-up, and we're happy to do that. And it's just, everything's very automated, and it stays in our system until it's closed out. Internally, it's either submitted, in progress, resolved, and this has been a great tool for staff so that we don't drop the ball on anything that, our residents report. So, again, you can see it's all on there. If there's something you want to report and you're not sure what it is, you can always just use the general suggestion one as well. So does anybody have any questions about that? No? Okay. The other tool that we have, this is actually brand new. We just rolled it out in the last week or two. And if you go to the homepage of the website, you'll see in the bottom left-hand corner, there's a small icon with a red center, and that is called the Savvy Citizen app. And what this is a one-way notification system that the municipality of Bethel Park will use to alert you to a lion's share of issues. It could be traffic, say for instance traffic. We really could have used this last year when Bethel Church Road was under construction. As you may recall, there was a lot of detours for an extended period of time. And we can alert you as to what sections of roads are going to be closed on what days. If it's long closures, we would do that. If it's just an afternoon, that may be more problematic to get all of that on there. The chief may have things that he wants the public to be aware of, safety issues. We would put something on there, for instance, for the 4th of July event that we have coming up on June 30th. And unfortunately, we had a little bit of a learning curve today. It was entered in our system twice. So I deleted one of them, and I got an email from the council president letting me know that the 4th of July event had been canceled. So there's a little bit of a learning curve for us too, but we really think this is going to be a tremendous app. So back to the app, you click on the link, and then what you'll do is if you go up to the sign in, you can go to the bottom and it'll ask you, you can sign up. You can put your information in there. Again, this is a one-way street. We're letting you know things. So it's not like you're going to be using this to report. So if you could put your name and information in, you can get notifications by email or by text message or both. You can sign up for both. And it's really pretty timely because I believe Council President got his notification within about 30 minutes of me deleting that off of the calendar. So the notifications will come in. You can also log into eSavvy just from your computer, and you can see the calendar. There's a variety of views. I like the month view because you can see everything that's going on in Bethel Park for the month, which may be redundant to the municipal website calendar, but again, it's just another application that sends you reminders. This would be it. Probably one of the things that's a little bit interesting about Savvy is that you can sign up for notifications not only for Bethel Park, but you can also sign up for notifications for other communities like Upper St. Clair or Mount Lebanon. You can sign up for specific things for all communities. So for Bethel Park, you may sign up for each and every notification, which is in the settings section.
Yes, you want to go to.
If you exit out of that, yeah, you exit there. So up at the top, my account, my communities, where see how now it says Bethel Park, Allegheny County, Crafton, Dormont. You may not want any information from them, but for instance, some of our neighboring communities have great events. Mount Lebanon has a First Friday event that's kind of fun, so you may want to go in there and check, I want to do their public events. So it's useful not only just for your own community's information, but for City of Pittsburgh or whatever, County Park. So we think it's going to be a great app. We think it's going to be a great way to keep, all of our residents informed of things that are going on in town. Hopefully that was clear.
Yeah, I just a couple comments on both these. The first one, about reporting events or issues. Once again, as Judy mentioned, that it gives us the way to track it. It sees when it was reported, where the status, it's assigned to somebody, and we really challenged our staff how better communicate with the community and how can we work more efficiently and more effectively. And that was one. And the Savvy Citizen, I will admit that you can get this information on your flip phone. If you had a smartphone, you can download it. But you also have to figure out, I found out last week that they're replacing sidewalks in Dormont because I had the wrong box checked.
Well, yeah, but that's another community. And sometimes if you travel in the morning, if you travel through Dormont for work, you may want to know. You may want to be up to date on road construction and things like that, and that's an option.
As we get more in tune with it, we'll be able to do maybe snow events or major issues throughout the community. We're just trying to come up with a better way. We're still going to do Facebook and some of the other medium, but we wanted to come up with something that was a little different, maybe more informative. Once again, these are kind of both one way. The first one you communicate in and you can track it, but the Savvy Citizen you can't comment, but we'll just be able to show what's going on in the community and if there are any major events or road closures or paving of roads and things like that. So it's kind of early in the process, so it's going to take a little time for us to really get to understand it better.
And I would say too, I would not be hesitant to put your name and or email address in there. It's not like if you complained about my high grass and I call the municipality is not going to say, Sue Schmidt complained about your high grass. We're not going to do that. We keep the information here, but we really like to have the opportunity to be able to get back to you. And you'll know right away once we get your information. So.
But any questions, you go to www.bethelpark.net. That's our website, and it has all this information.
It does, yeah. So.
Okay. Thank you very much. Okay, at this time, I would like to turn to the approval of the minutes Mr. Hannan.
First is the regular council meeting of May 14th. I move that we approve the regular council meeting minutes of May 14th, 2018.
There's a motion, a second. We approve the regular council meeting minutes of May 14th, 2018. Any discussion of this item? Ms. Miller, would you please call the roll?
Dixon?
Yes.
Gibbons? Hannan?
Yes.
Harrison?
Yes.
McLean?
Yes.
Maury?
Yes.
Speak up, Judy, please.
Okay. Yes. Motion passes 6-0. At this time, I'd like to turn to the approval of the bills and payrolls, and Mr. Hannan.
I move that we approve the bills and payrolls for municipality per bill list number 061118 in the amount of $1,533,501.07.
Second.
There's a motion, a second, that we approve the bills and payrolls for the municipality per bill list number 061118 in the amount of $1,533,501.07. Any discussion of this item? Ms. Miller, would you please call the roll?
Gibbons?
Yes.
Hannan?
Yes.
Harrison?
Yes.
McLean?
Yes.
Maury?
Yes. Motion passes 6-0. And just for everybody's information, the projector we have here was recently installed, so people that utilize our chambers now will have that available. So we're getting a little bit better on the technology side. Okay, at this time, I'd like to turn to the resident comment section for non-agenda items. If you'd like to come up and state your name and address, we have a 3-minute limit. At the end of 2 minutes, we'll signify and ask you to conclude your comments.
I would like just to say ahead of time, normally I gauge and look when I read. However, to get all that I have to say in 3 minutes, I'm not going to be looking at you at this moment, and I'm going to read what I need to say. So I just wanted to let you know that ahead of time.
No problem.
All right. My name is Carrie Virgin, and I reside at 5575 Clarine Drive. On Saturday, February 17th, my husband and I discovered that the length of our backyard had sunk significantly in feet. We shortly realized there were 5 residents affected by this also. We immediately called the municipality of Bethel Park to send an engineer and our councilman, Mark O'Brien. Through the months of February, March, April, and May, there have been several visits from Mike Doyle's office, Connor Lamb's office, your contracted engineers from Gateway, the mayor, council president, Councilman Colella, Bethel's engineers, and the municipal manager have all come to assess the situation. The new sewer camera truck was on site twice to camera the affected pipes, which showed the damaged and collapsed line. Recently this month, engineers came to mark the yards with a very rough measurement with option A. This option was not agreed by all the affected neighbors, and it created a new sewer line way too close to our homes and leaves what's left of our backyards as easements and does not address the 6-inch pipe that flows water into the hillside. Option 2 was not a viable option for the residents to put a sewer grinder in the backyards, force the waste to the front of the street, tying in the line under the street and into the sewer line on the upper side. The ongoing maintenance and devalue of our homes would not be beneficial to any of the residents on Clarine Drive. Option 3 and 4 address both the problems with the damaged sewer line and the 6-inch pipe of flowing water. These options divert the water, replace the sewer line, stabilize the sewer pipe, and stabilize the hillside. A more long-term fix and solution to the situation. I know these options have bigger price tags, as everything does these days. However, it is the correct and right way to fix the damage. I've been taught by my parents and grandparents to fix it right the first time. With shortcuts, you will repair it again and again, costing more money in the end. These homes have been there 60 years and should be there another 60 years. And based on the taxes obtained over these years, this should cover that expense. As elected public officials serving the residents of this community, we thank you. I would expect through times of joy and celebration, it's far more easier serving than serving in times of destruction and devastation. We as residents look for your trust and moral compass to do what is right when a situation arises such as this. We ask for the justice in replacing the broken sewer line in its entirety, divert the water from the 6-inch line, stabilize the hillside, and reconnect our laterals from the broken sewer line. My husband and I have lived in this borough since 1966, attended Bethel Park High School. We've been a homeowner since 1988. We have volunteered our time in Bethel Park. All of our children reside and have purchased homes in Bethel Park. Bethel Park is a very nice place to live and raise a family, and we encourage others to move here. We are eager to come to a correct resolution regarding the situation. We are hopeful with today's visit with the engineer and Felino Excavating that with a fair and honest bid, work can be begin immediately. The residents of Claring Drive are thankful for this opportunity to speak and are very thankful for all the hard work and efforts that our Councilman Mark O'Brien has shown us. Thank you.
Thank you. Normally, we just receive comments at this time, but I would like to comment on a couple things that I think we came with. The option 3 is something we're pursuing right now. We're
Okay.
out trying to source 2 different suppliers and try to get a better price. We may need to do some additional or do some engineering on it to ensure the line that we're going to replace, or the last part, is going to be replaced properly or adequately. Number 2 is Mr. O'Brien is actually, him and Joe Consolmagno were in a municipal seminar this week, and I can assure you at 4 o'clock I got a call from Mark, and he has spent a lot of time, or has talked to numerous state elected, appointed officials. He's trying to garner some additional funds to help, fix the sewer line. As you know, we did apply for a PEMA grant, and that included several areas throughout our community that were affected by the storm. The challenges from the federal government level, because it wasn't a one-day or short event, it was more widespread, the rain, and this goes for all of Allegheny County, it didn't necessarily meet the requirements at the time. What they're looking at is trying to get them to extend. And I don't want to say that they're going to do this, but we kind of brought up the analogy of what's going on with the volcano in Hawaii, that it's over several weeks, months. So we're trying to get them to change. If they do change for that particular project, the price we put in was about $200,000 to replace the line. They would reimburse us. It's a reimbursement grant for up to 75%. So number 1, we're continuing to move forward to get prices, whether or not the PEMA money comes through. It's our obligation to make sure the line's fixed, and done right, and adequately serving the neighborhood. So we will keep in touch with you. I know you've been patient, everybody. We've had a number of people over there. I know, like I said, Mark he called this afternoon to make sure, wanted me to mention that he is working, and on their way back, they're going to be stopping in Harrisburg and potentially meeting some of the state elected officials to see what help they can be on help getting us some additional funding. So
thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yes, with each of the rains, it gets scarier and scarier as it continues to see our land slide and sink. I'm glad I don't have lava flow, is one thing that we're happy for. But I also did want to mention, if I can, we had a neighbor walk the streets. And I'm just very thankful that she took the time to think, and meet with each of the residents and let them know what's going on in our neighborhood. And so you see, many of the people here are from Claring Drive. And so we've all been here a very long time. And we just want what's done right. And we just want to move on with our lives. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Are there any other residents who would like to speak? If you could just state your name and address for the record, please. Thank you.
I'm not as tall as Carrie. Okay, we'll leave it up there. My name is Lynn Sivitz, and I live at 5552 Claring Drive. And I've been here 30 years, and I grew up in politics, so I know my father was like one of the first Democrats on the Brentwood Council, so that was many years ago. And what I remember most is that our phones would ring off the hook from people, from everything from the grass being too high at someone's house to a problem in their neighborhood, that type of thing. So I really realized what all you do for us. And what I want to say is kind of shoring up what Carrie said, that these homes, mine is not one affected, but every one of us, our homes are so important to us. And when you see the value change so dramatically with such a drop in the property level like this, it makes you feel terrible, because you don't want to fight with people, you just want it fixed. And what I'd like to encourage each of you, I know President Myrie has been out, and I know that Mark O'Brien and Mr. Colella, also our mayor, has been out. If you, in your very busy schedules, could just take a drive over. walk down the driveways and look. I know you're seeing pictures and that type of thing, but it is substantial. It's heartbreaking. And I know you're busy, but I also know we may not be from your district, but we are your constituents, and we really, really love this borough and think a great deal of it, and we trust in you. And we just want to say thank you from Claring Drive for doing what's right and not what's easy. Thank you.
Thank you. Short of getting political for a minute, but I would like to say, to your point, it is, we do, and I appreciate all the comments, nothing's easy, but as a group up here, we may have one registration or a different, but the one thing we have in common is we all want to work for the community, and we have people that are willing to work together. I always say the success of the majority of this group is our ability to work together, and it's whether it may impact one of us, it impacts all of us. And, you know, what can we do to help? What can we do to work together? And it's just, for the majority of the people here, it's a very great group, and I appreciate all their efforts and everything they've done. Is there anybody else that would like to speak? Okay, hearing none, would like to move to the agenda, and we will turn to General Policy and Finance and Mr. McLean, and we have no residents signed up to speak.
Thank you, Mr. Mowry. First item on the agenda is ordinance number 6-11-18, Home Rule Charter Amendment Ordinance. I move that we approve ordinance number 6-11-18, initiating a referendum to amend the Home Rule Charter of the Municipality of Bethel Park.
Second.
There's a motion and a second that we approve the ordinance number 6-11-18, initiating a referendum to amend the Home Rule Charter of the Municipality of Bethel Park. Any discussion of this item?
Mr. Mowry?
Mr. McLean.
Thank you. I just wanted to explain to the public that the ordinance we have before us tonight will place on the ballot for the November election several proposed changes to the Bethel Park Home Rule Charter. The total number of changes that will be proposed is 4. One of them deals with making sure that our Home Rule Charter is gender neutral, and it's clear that when we refer to the male gender, we are also referring to the female gender. The other is a simple change of a typo that our solicitor found in our Home Rule Charter, and we need to correct that. The other 2 are more substantial, and they reflect a proposal to make 2 key changes to the referendum and initiative provisions of the Home Rule Charter. The referendum and initiative provisions are an important part of our Home Rule Charter. They are the part that allows the citizens, if they want to make a challenge to an ordinance, to collect the requisite number of signatures and to present them to this body and see whether this body will then change the ordinance that they wish to address. And if not, then seek to see if they can have it placed on the ballot for election by the electorate. There are 2 changes we're proposing with respect to that process of referendum and initiative. One change would make it clear that if the referendum or initiative relates to an ordinance that is either increasing or decreasing taxes, the referendum or initiative provision would only apply to the extent of the increase or the decrease. Currently, our Home Rule Charter provides that if there's a challenge to an ordinance that adopts a tax millage, either increase or decrease, the entire ordinance is suspended. And the problem that that potentially presents is, while that ordinance is suspended, we wouldn't be able to collect any of the taxes, including the taxes that had been in place previously, and it puts the fiscal status of the municipality at risk. So the proposed change is to say that a challenge to an increase or a decrease in the tax can still be made. It just makes it clear that that's all that's going to be challenged. The second would eliminate what we've called the second bite at the apple. Currently, the charter provides that if the citizens or a group of citizens get together and collect a petition and present it to the municipality, if they don't have the requisite number of signatures or they don't have a sufficient petition, the charter says you get to go back out and try again. And it's been the collective wisdom of the Home Rule Study Commission and the members of this council that because this process itself already takes some time and raises questions, then you shouldn't be able to go back out and try again. If you are able to collect the signatures, you collect them, you present them to the municipality, but the second change would eliminate what we've called this second bite at the apple. Those are the only two changes that are being proposed to the referendum and initiative provisions by the ordinance that we are considering tonight. And our adoption of the ordinance tonight will then begin a process to have these proposed changes placed on the ballot in November. They will be presented in 4 separate questions. The voters in November will have the chance to go to the polls and vote for each of them, yes or no. And only if they are voted in by the general public at the November election would that result in a change to the Home Rule Charter. We looked at the Home Rule Charter a few years ago through the Home Rule Study Commission, and the result of that commission was some recommended changes. Council has considered those. Several of those were adopted last year. This is the next set of those changes, and actually would be the last of those that had been considered by the Home Rule Study Commission. So that's a summary of the changes that are being proposed. We've discussed this a number of times on the floor, but we're now at the point where we have before Council tonight the ordinance that will take the next step to have those 4 proposed changes placed on the ballot in November. Thank you, Mr. Murray.
Thank you, Mr. McLean. Are there any additional comments?
Mr. Murray.
Mr. Harrison.
Excuse me just a minute. Let's return to the start of this process. Council wanted to enact a dedicated tax for the Bethel Park Volunteer Fire Company. The tax increase had the concurrence of council, but it was not enacted legally. The ordinance presented to council to enact the tax was inconsistent with the Home Rule Charter and the Election Department rules. Before the vote on the ordinance, I informed council that an affirmative vote for the ordinance violated the Home Rule Charter. All of the council members present at the meeting, except me, voted in the affirmative. Lawyer McTiernan, that we pay to ensure council actions are legal, sat mum at his table over there while the illegal votes were cast. McTiernan was further complicit in the affair by delivering the enacted ordinance to the Election Bureau 27 days prior to its effective date. He confirmed this delivery by a letter to council. McTiernan was appointed to his position after his predecessor was terminated for involving himself in legal matters that he had previously ruled he could not do legally. McTiernan was deficient in his paid responsibility by not advising council of the illegal status of the Bethel Park Volunteer Fire Company tax ordinance prior to the time of the vote. He further blatantly ignored his responsibility to council by delivering the ordinance to the Election Bureau 27 days prior to its effective date. He documented in a letter to council that he had hand-carried the ordinance to the Election Bureau 3 days after it was enacted. Mr. McTiernan is wading in the same swampy waters that resulted in the termination of his predecessor. Council should consider McTiernan's actions relative to the Bethel Park Volunteer Fire Company ordinance should consider taking actions against him that were taken against his predecessor. Now I'd like to comment about the ordinance on the floor. The ordinance reads like a history book. I'm in my 45th year as a councilman, and I have never seen such an ordinance. I allege that council, including the history of their actions in creating the ordinance, is taking this action to cover their butt. Council is trying to divert attention from their illegal action on the Bethel Park Volunteer Fire Company ordinance. After I highlighted their illegal action on the Bethel Park Volunteer Fire Company ordinance, council members decided that the Home Rule Charter is out of date and needed to be updated. One wonders why these members of council didn't pursue an update of the Home Rule Charter prior to their violation of the Home Rule Charter. I allege the action was taken to divert attention of the public from the fact that they violated the Home Rule Charter. The fact that the Home Rule Charter needed to be updated doesn't provide cover for violating the Home Rule Charter. As an elected official of this governing body, I will never knowingly participate in violating the law. Thank you.
I have two comments to make. Number one is everything he said isn't true. We hear this over and over again. It's simply not true. Number two is everything he said had nothing to do with the four items, the four questions that are on the agenda in front of us. So we need to differentiate between things that aren't true and irrelevant to our discussion. Okay, are there any additional comments? Hearing none, Ms. Miller, can you call the roll, please?
Hannon?
Yes.
Harrison?
No.
McLean?
Yes.
Maury?
Yes.
Dixon?
Yes.
Gibbons?
Yes.
Motion passes 5-1. Mr. McLean.
Thank you, Mr. Mowry. Next item on the agenda is the appointment to the Library Board. I move that we appoint Daniel Allen Simon to the Library Board for a term to expire on December 31st, 2020.
Second.
There's a motion and a second that we appoint Daniel Allen Simon to the Library Board for a term to expire on December 31st, 2020. Any discussion of this item? Ms. Miller, would you please call the roll?
Harrison?
Yes.
McLean?
Yes.
Maury?
Yes.
Dixon?
Yes.
Gibbons?
Yes.
Hannon?
Yes.
Motion passes 6-0. Mr. McLean?
No further agenda items under General Policy and Finance.
Thank you, Mr. McLean. I do have one additional item backing up to the Clarine issue. I apologize, remiss for mentioning this. When this initially occurred, we were in the interim of having a congressman. Within a day of calling Congressman Doyle's office, he had people out here. He helped us facilitate the application, and Carl Lamb has jumped right on board as our new congressman, helping facilitate to make sure we didn't miss anything kind of in the interim. So I would like to thank Congressman Doyle and Congressman Lamb for their assistance when we needed it. So is there any other discussion? At this time, can we turn to Planning and Zoning and Mr.
Barry.
Mr. Harrison.
I'd like one more item under...
Mr. Harrison.
Thank you. You're probably aware that 50 years ago, Robert Kennedy was assassinated. We're being reminded all the time. He was a very bright person, and he wrote many articles expressing his concern about the deterioration in our society, so to speak. I wanted to read one of his articles that I think is apropos to the action of council and the action of McTiernan relative to the Bethel Park Volunteer Fire Company. Every time we turn our heads the other way, when we see the law flouted, when we tolerate what we know to be wrong, when we close our eyes and ears to the corrupt because we are too busy or too frightened, when we fail to speak up and speak out, we strike a blow against freedom and decency and justice. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Harrison. Any additional comments? Hearing none, let's turn to Planning and Zoning and Mr. Dixon, and we have no residents signed up to speak.
Thank you, Mr. Mowry. We have one item under Planning and Zoning tonight. Resolution number R6-11-18, Gaming Economic Development Fund, Simmons Park Development. I move that we adopt resolution number R6-11-18, authorizing the acceptance of grant funds through the Redevelopment Authority of Allegheny County Gaming Economic Development Fund and executing the necessary contract documents for the Simmons Park Development Project.
Second.
There is a motion and a second that we adopt resolution number R6-11-18, authorizing the acceptance of grant funds through the Redevelopment Authority of Allegheny County Gaming Economic Development Fund and executing of the necessary contract documents for Simmons Park Development Project. That is a $140,000 grant that we got this past year. It's going to help us enhance. We just started the construction. The good news is we're going to be doing a lot of construction at Simmons. The bad news is the park is currently closed, at least the playground and some of the courts, because we are rebuilding our public works facility that burned last fall. We're adding bathrooms to that. We're rehabbing the bathrooms and putting new playground equipment in. So I apologize for, it's not maybe the most convenient time, but we have a lot of work going on down at Simmons Park as well as some of the other parks. Any other discussion? Hearing none, Ms. Miller, would you please call the roll?
McLean?
Yes.
Maury?
Yes.
Dixon?
Yes.
Gibbons?
Yes.
Hannon?
Yes.
Harrison?
Yes.
Motion passes 6-0. Mr. Dixon.
Mr. Maury, that's all we have under planning and zoning.
Thank you, Mr. Dixon. Any additional items? Hearing none, can we turn to health, safety, and welfare and Mr. Hannon, and we have no residents signed up to speak.
First item is, and the only item, is a mutual aid agreement. I move that we authorize the execution of the mutual aid agreement allowing the municipality of Bethel Park to enter into a joint agreement for mutual police aid and assistance with the South Hills Area Council of Governments.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. We authorize the execution of mutual aid agreement allowing the municipality of Bethel Park to enter into a joint agreement for mutual police aid and assistance within the South Hills Area Council of Government. I believe this is updating a agreement we have with, I believe now 23 of our neighboring communities, that if there are issues and we need help, we have a communications channel already set up that we're able to go out and reach out to some of our neighbors as we are out there to help them. So this is something that's really been in the works for the last several years, and it's a great asset for us as a community to be able to depend on our neighbors when we need some help. Any additional comments? Ms. Miller, would you please call the roll?
Maury?
Yes.
Dixon?
Yes.
Gibbons?
Yes.
Hannon?
Yes.
Harrison?
Yes.
McLean?
Yes.
Motion passes 6-0. Mr. Hannon.
You have no additional items, no other items under health, safety, and welfare.
Thank you, Mr. Hannon. Are there any additional items? Hearing none, can we turn to Public Works and Maintenance? And Ms. Gibbons, we have no residents signed up to speak.
There are no agenda items under Public Works and Maintenance.
Thank you, Ms. Gibbons. Any additional items? Hearing none,
Move
is there a
we
motion
adjourn.
to adjourn? Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Meeting adjourned. Good night, everyone.